Hello there everybody, it is me, XFreezerBunny, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So today we're building this organic boutique. So I imagine this would be the place your Sims would go to buy their overpriced beauty products. Yes, it's all about that eco-friendly hipster lifestyle, but I had this idea to build this eco community lot ever since I did that off the grid eco caravan build a couple of weeks ago, and since I really enjoyed the retail aspect that came with Get to Work, I decided why not build a retail store that sells these herbal remedies that your Sims can make if they have the herbalism skills. So this is a fully functional shop that sells elixirs that your Sims, that your herbalists could make. Herbalism came with outdoor retreat, and I feel like it's such an underrated skill. I don't know, it's probably just me, but I personally really enjoy the farming skills, so herbalism is totally up my alley. So this build also comes with an apartment upstairs. It's just a small studio apartment that your Sims can stay in if they're not in the mood to go home. You can't officially live in retail lots, but you can technically stay here for extended periods of time. You're only really gonna need to go home if you need to access your mailbox, and I feel like, if I remember correctly, like you can technically pay bills if it's giving you like this message on like these like upper right corner of the screen. It would usually give you like a pop-up message alerting you to pay your bill. So I don't really know if there's a need for you to go home. But when I did gameplay for Get to Work, and when I owned a retail store, what I did was basically just buy myself an empty house and basically use all of my money to spend on this retail endeavor. So if you guys are wondering how you would be able to afford this, that's probably one option for you guys. But as for the style of this build, I kind of went for this eco-industrial vibe. So maybe this would have been like an industrial area at first, and then it's been renovated to become more eco-friendly over the years. This entire build, by the way, only occupies half of this lot right here, because the other half, there's like a giant apartment block. So yeah, that one is just an empty shell, but I just felt like putting it in because it makes it a little bit more immersive. But I loved doing this green wall over here outside. I didn't want to make it like overpower the whole exterior, so I kind of like toned it down a little bit, but I really love this. This build, before I forget, also uses a ton of the newly unlocked debug items, and when I say a ton, like I mean it, because I feel like, you know what, I can say this with full confidence that 100% of the landscaping for this is debug items, which is mind-blowing because when you think about it, the debug unlocked items, there's like over 1,000 objects, right? So a lot of that is actually like world building objects, like landscaping and stuff. So I was surprisingly able to landscape this only using debug items, so that's really interesting. I just felt like I had to point that out. So yeah, you guys will definitely see me use a lot of them. Actually, there's some of them right here, right now. You guys can see those solar panels. I've been looking forward to those being unlocked. Those came with Get Famous. And then there's also some like vines, like some like ivy that's hidden in one of those green walls that is from Debug as well, because I wanted to have some like texture to it, so I used some from Debug. Actually, there's a lot of ivy from Debug. By the way, here we are working on this next door apartment block. So I don't know, I just went for something that was very kind of massive and kind of like imposing, I guess. So this is kind of like your normal, city downtown apartment block, I guess. I did use an interesting material for this one. I think I ended up going for a concrete tile that came with city living, and actually that looked really good. It reminds me of buildings I've seen when I was traveling around Asia, like in Taiwan or something. Oh, here I am putting in this hedge in front, and as you can see, I'm using some plants that are from the base game. I'm gonna delete those because I just wanted to be able to say that I used like 100% debug items for the landscaping. And oh my gosh, you guys, like the new debug items are like probably my favorite aspect of the recent patch. I've already mentioned on Twitter how I'm not really a big fan of the whole rebranding, but everything I had to say about that has already been said, so let's not talk about it in this build. But as far as like the debug items go, they're so amazing. Like, the only downside to them is you have to scroll so much to be able to find what you're looking for exactly, because they don't really come with labels or tags for you to be able to search them. And like I said, we got thousands, like over 1,000 new unlocked items, and that's a lot. So yeah, it's gonna be quite a memory game for us builders to be able to remember where everything is. So yeah, now we're moving on to the interior, and of course I had to carry on this green wall, and I don't know, they're just so fabulous. I really love them. It really feels like sustainable architecture, sustainable design. But basically this is the shop. It's not a big shop, it's, you know, it's a decent size, I guess. There's enough space for the Sims to, you know, move around, but the interior was actually inspired by some of the trendy like shops that are in my country. I'm not sure if you guys who live elsewhere have this whole trend of like these Korean beauty products, but in my country it is a huge trend. So we have shops like I don't know, like Innisfree and like the Face Shop that have this like eco-friendly vibe in their shops or in their branding, and I was kind of just inspired by that. So yep, if you guys think this looks like the Face Shop or Innisfree, I was totally inspired by their shop. I remember a time when my country didn't have Innisfree, and I literally like bought like a hoard of stuff when I traveled to Singapore just to bring back with me. And yeah, you know what, I still have like a stack of face masks that I got from the Face Shop. Yeah, it's crazy. This whole trend of like these organic beauty products is crazy. So anyway, here we are putting in these herbal remedies. Now these ones we're placing right now, I believe, are the fertility one. These are the most expensive one. I believe one of these costs like 500 simoleons. When I tested this, like, I think my sim made almost 1,000 simoleons by selling only 3 herbal remedies. So I'm pretty sure if you guys would manage this yourself, you can pretty much earn quite a lot of money. But here I am just placing these herbal remedies on the shelves because they won't work if they're not placed on shelves. Like, basically, they won't work if you place them using move objects. So I made sure to place them on shelves. Like you guys just saw me put like a display like in the basket. Those don't work. Yeah, just make sure you don't sell the ones that I placed using move objects. You guys can see like which ones I placed, because yeah, I'm using like the alt key to place them, so it's really complicated, but for the most part it is functional. Like at the moment there's nothing that's set up for sale. You guys can do that yourselves. But yeah, here I spent literally hours placing these individually, and then I realized that they actually don't work if you use move objects to place them, so I just placed them on a table instead. Luckily I tested it before finishing this build so that I didn't have to, you know, like delete hours and hours of progress. So yeah, but as for everything else, like as for the rest of like the herbal remedies, they work pretty much fine. You should be able to sell those without any problems. So yeah, we're just adding in a couple more decorative items over here. Oh, I'm also using this wooden fence piece. I believe this is from like a ruined fence. It's such a beautiful piece of wood. So gorgeous. I love that. I'm using it as like a beam just to give it that more industrial vibe. So yeah, once again, reminder to all of you guys, if you download this yourselves, you're gonna have to set all of these individual herbal remedies for sale yourself. So good luck. I think there's 15 of each at least, or like around 10 of each. So yeah, that's gonna be a lot. Luckily, you don't have to make them once you've sold them. Like, you don't have to make them, you can just restock them and they'll just magically appear. We're moving on to this apartment area upstairs. Once again, it's kind of like a loft apartment. I love that archway that kind of opens up this whole kitchen slash dining area. It's so beautiful. I wonder what that archway came with. Maybe Get Together. Yeah, I feel like that would fit in Winterberg. But here we are building in this kind of like roof. This is actually like inside of a roof. I initially thought that this would be a great place to have the bedroom, but literally that would have been exactly the same as my like, what was that, Manhattan townhouse build like a couple of months ago. So I just decided to put the kitchen here, and it actually worked really well. That booth right there is functional. I've always had problems like working with that, but surprisingly it worked this time around, so I'm really happy about that. And then over here we have the bed. There's actually no TV on this apartment, so that's fine though. Like, who needs a TV nowadays? There is a computer and a vintage record player, I believe somebody said. And yep, this is just more of like a, like, I don't know, maybe industrial, I guess. Yeah, I just went for this industrial loft style. There goes that record player. It's a record player, right? Recorder, I think somebody said. Yeah, I really like that. That came with like, what was it? Like, Get Famous? So beautiful. And I am obsessed with that taro plant. Is it taro? I think it's taro. It's the one I put on the vase. I'm obsessed with it. It came with Island Living, and you can access it only through Debug, and it's so beautiful. Once again, I'm just adding in a bunch of clutter items. One of those planter boxes is from Debug as well, and I love having this neon like moment right here with these like hanging plants. They just look so good. I'm really happy with this area. This is like totally my vibe in real life. Like, if I had like a loft like this, I would totally furnish it like that. But this is kind of like just an office area, I guess. So, you know, if your sim who's managing this place, you know, needs to do some managerial work, they can do it in this office. But yeah, I imagine the sim living here to be kind of like those hipster sims that would, you know, like, I don't know, they would make the herbal remedies themselves and they would sell it in the store downstairs. That sounds really like idyllic. Like, that sounds like a perfect life. I feel like realistically that probably wouldn't work. Like, that probably wouldn't make you like a lot of money to be able to live in this kind of place. But you know what, whatever. Let's just say they're famous for their like herbal elixirs and stuff like that. So actually at this point we're done working on the interior. It didn't include the footage of me furnishing the bathroom because the bathroom is pretty basic. I'm not gonna lie, there wasn't really enough space for like a fabulous bathroom, so I just did like a basic bathroom. I also included footage of me decorating this next door apartment block. Yeah, I could have cut this out, but I just decided to include it because I'm pretty sure some of you would be interested to see this whole building process. Those stairs, by the way, are from Debug. They came with CD Living and they're great for like decorative aspects and pieces and stuff like that. They look really good. So yeah, this is just a very blocky building. Over here I did put like a parking area. I put a bunch of cars here at first, and then eventually I had to delete some cars to make room for a tree. And then we're just adding in more like roof details and stuff. So right now we're working on my favorite aspect of this build, which is this garden, hands down. I would say if this garden wasn't my favorite, my next one would probably be the store itself, because I haven't done anything like it. But you guys, this garden is incredible. I love it so much. I feel like it's so realistic. I feel like it captures that whole vibe of like urban farming and like gardens in the city. So yeah, I really love it. What we're doing right now is this greenhouse, because I did put some plants in here that weren't seasonal, so I had to put a greenhouse to be able to grow those. I think as far as the herbs that you need for herbalism, I think they are non-seasonal, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But what I wasn't able to place here were insects, because I don't think we have insect spawners in the game. So in order to actually make your own herbal remedies, you will have to go to Granite Falls to be able to catch insects. That's such a hassle, actually, to be able to do that. But you know what, you don't really need to make your own herbal remedies, because as I said earlier, you can just restock if you run out and they will magically appear out of nowhere. But yeah, I love this garden. I spent probably most of my time decorating this garden, and I just had a lot of fun. By the way, these are plants that I grew myself off camera. So I put them in a room and just saved them in my library folder on the gallery. By the way, these aren't available online. If you really want them, you can just download this house, you know, and all the plants I put here pretty much will be up there as well. So like I said, all of the herbs you would need. So most of this is like an herb garden, but there are some flowers in there as well as other like plants that are kind of herbs, like wolfsbane. That one came with vampires, and I also put garlic as well, which I don't think you would need in your like herbalism elixir recipes, but you know, it's great to include some plants. Oh, I also included some summer plants as well that came with Island Living. I believe I put a taro and a kava as well. So yeah, I love this greenhouse. I love it so much. It's a fully functional greenhouse, by the way. It looks cramped, but your sim, believe it or not, can actually access this fine. They can move around fine, and the plants that are grown here don't have to be seasonal. So, you know, you have a couple of plots inside of this greenhouse where you can grow non-seasonal plants. Like, there are some very beautiful like winter flowers that I put here. So yeah, I think I also put mushrooms here as well, like the mushrooms that you need for herbalism. So yeah, had a lot of fun. I really love this greenhouse. It's probably like one of my favorite. You know what? I feel like this whole entire build is probably like one of my favorite builds I've ever done, because there's just so many aspects to it, you know? We have the store, we have the apartment above it, we have the next door apartment block, and then we have this garden. You know, it's just a lot, which is probably why it took me like forever to finish this as well. Actually, you know what? The reason why it took me forever to finish this was literally just scrolling through the debug. So there's this new debug category. Is it a category? Whatever. But all of the new items you can access by typing in bb.show_live_edit_objects, and the new debug items aren't really categorized. I know I've talked about this earlier, but they don't really come in categories, so literally you're gonna have to scroll through every single one to be able to see them. And by the way, this tree is so gorgeous. It's a base game tree, I'm assuming, and it's so amazing. Like I said, all of these are from Debug. The landscaping, most of them I use are either from base game or from Get Together. They're so gorgeous. Like, I'm obsessed with these like grass. They're just so beautiful. Like, I know I've said that like 10 million times at this point, but wow, they just look so good. These grass, I'm pretty sure, would have been from Windenburg, and they just make this look so natural. Like, my inspiration for this landscaping, or like for this whole garden in general, is this concept of permaculture. And for those of you who are not familiar with that, permaculture is kind of like this natural concept of gardening wherein you use plants that benefit each other in a natural way so that you don't really need to use fertilizer, and I'm really fascinated about that. So that's kind of like the look I tried to go for in this build, and I'm really happy with it. Oh my gosh, another one of my favorite new unlock items are those green trash bins. I know that's such a minor thing, but I just love that swatch. Also, I love that car. It's an unlocked car from Debug. Oh my gosh, there's also these new like mailboxes and stuff, which unfortunately are not functional, but they're still great decorative items as well. So I put like, I'm not sure if they're mailboxes or like they're like, these are like I don't know, newspaper stands, I don't know. But those are great. But you know what? I feel like this build is actually coming up to an end, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up my commentary right here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't forget to help support the channel by liking this video and sharing it and subscribing as well, because that really helps out a lot. But having said that, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up my commentary right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. You all have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.